Hi, this is Renaud from China Manufacturing Decoded. Today is the 14th of October, Tuesday, and this is a bonus to the podcast.
You're listening to China Manufacturing Decoded from the Sofeast Group.
Often when there are some big news in the trade war between USA and China, I record something short just to give a little bit of perspective. So what happened is that last week, China, in the context of their negotiations with the USA, and of course we don't know the details of that, announced some export controls on a number of critical minerals. Okay, what people often call the rare earth. And the one that made the most noise, because it is by far the most widely used type of rare earth in industrial products, in productions for various types of products, from consumer goods to military and so on, is the, neodymium? Yeah, that is used to make magnets stronger. Okay, it's added to iron and bore to make better magnets, and it is used very, very widely. Okay, but there are a few others, maybe 8 or 10 others. Okay, so that seems to have infuriated Trump. He announced on Friday last week that he would impose a 100% tariff on Chinese products, made in China products, imported into the USA, starting on November 1st, if that stays in place. Okay, so he's leaving time to China to think about it. It's a way, as usual, to put a deadline, sort of put a gun to the other party's head and say, okay, now, there's pressure. You get to give me some concessions, otherwise I will do that. I already announced it anyway. I'm ready to do it. Come on, what can you give me? I really want that. Okay, so it's a way of amping the pressure up, obviously, on the other party. And China, as usual, said, well, we will just respond tit-for-tat. We'll just reciprocate, just as we have in the past. Okay, so we're kind of in a deadlock situation, it seems. And things can change very fast. Within an hour, maybe, Trump will come up with something new. Yesterday, he tried to make things look a little bit more optimistic, with sort of a warm message I think it's in Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, saying that, of course, he doesn't want to hurt China. He just wants something good for China. Things will be good, blah, blah, blah. And people say, oh, the relationship is good. It's fine. Basically, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, but his announcement on Friday sent the stock market and the crypto market and so on and so forth down. So I guess a lot of people are not very happy. Now that I have set the scene, that's what everybody can hear. That's the headlines in the news. I came across an interesting kind of analysis in the Wall Street Journal by an article by Ling Wei, who writes a lot about China. And she says that now China is responding differently from a few years ago. A few years ago, they would just do things in a simple way. Okay, tit for tat. You do that to me, I'll respond in the same way. It's not pleasant, I'm going to show you that it's not pleasant for you too. Okay, but things have changed, and China is learning more and more, because remember, China's leadership is mostly engineers that have not been very deeply exposed to the way other countries work, right? So it's taking them a while to really understand how things work, how other countries work and so on. But they're not dumb. I mean, they learn, obviously. And some of their people are quite good at understanding what's going on. So what Ling Wei says, the journalist, she pulls out an old Chinese axiom which basically says, learn the tools of barbarians to control the barbarians, right? Okay, that's her interpretation. Basically, she says, look at the US. They have this strategy which they call small yard and high fence, right? Okay, there's a narrow set of critical technologies that we have to protect, right? So a narrow field, okay, that's the small yard, a few verticals, a few industries, semiconductors, things like that. They don't want electric vehicles from China to come. They don't want Chinese made in China batteries. They don't for electric vehicles. There's certain things like this that they don't want, and they've been adding tariffs and they've been adding a lot of protections. Okay, and high fence obviously is the protections. Okay, and well, China is, saying, okay, interesting, I'm going to do the same, right? We're going to start to also protect certain things. And so the response to the US is, okay, well, we're going to control the export of these critical minerals, right? So maybe we will not let you use it for your military needs because you keep saying that you're building up your military to protect yourself against us and even maybe preparing a conflict against us. So why would we do that? Saying that in the US, same thing. They keep, cutting China off of resources that can be used for dual purposes, including for the military and so on. So same thing. But they are adjusting things, not exactly tit-for-tat, but doing it in a way that can hurt the other side. And I'm going to go quickly through something interesting. So she pulls up an analysis by Jacob Gunther, an analyst at the Mercator Institute for China Studies in Berlin. Okay. And he says there's a lot of similarities. America has their foreign direct product rule. Okay, so if any product made anywhere is produced with technology from the US, well, America can, control a lot of things, right? And now Beijing is doing the same. Now they say, well, anything that is made with the critical minerals that are made in China, we're going to have a control over that. Same thing. Just adjusted, right, to the strength of China. And another one is that the USA has barred US persons, from helping China's advanced semiconductor industry. Well, Beijing is doing the same. No Chinese person can work in the rare earth supply chain, anywhere without approval from Beijing, right? So not so easy to transfer technologies and things like that. And there's another one where China really copied, what the US has been doing, licensing requirements for specific, for R&D and production of advanced semiconductors and AI with potential military application. USA has done that, applied that obviously to make it harder for Beijing to make progress. Beijing is doing the exact same thing to the USA. Okay, so the relationship has been evolving with China learning more tricks, and obviously they thought about that and they came up with smart ways to reciprocate, or let's say mirror the kind of obstacles that the US has sent at them, and now they're doing the same in a smart way, right? So that was an interesting analysis. I did not think about that in these terms until now. So hopefully it's interesting. Again, things might change within a few hours. We don't know. So let's not go crazy with all these new threats of super high tariffs. A lot will change before November 1st. It's basically a card in the strategy, in the, in the negotiation game, right? To raise the stakes and put pressure on the opponent and all these kind of things. There's no way to know what would come out of that. So let's see. Let's keep our eyes open. And if you have any questions or comments, just send us a message. Always good to hear from readers. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to this podcast brought to you by the Sofeast Group. We're on a mission to provide you with everything you need to manufacture effectively in Asia, including inspections, auditing, new product development support, contract manufacturing, 3PL warehousing and fulfillment, and much, much more across Asia's key manufacturing areas. Visit us at sofeast.com, that's SOFEAST.com, to learn more and get help. If you've enjoyed the podcast today, please do rate, review and share because it will really help others discover us too.